what did this win tell you about Golden State?
To me, it's about Steph. And listen, if Steph has one more legendary run in him, they can win the title. I have not believed in this team as a championship contender because I have massive questions about the team outside of its top 3 players. And its third player, Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure what version of Jimmy we're going to get in these playoffs. And so I have questions there as well. But Steph Curry, last night, Jimmy wasn't great. Draymond was, peak Draymond doing Draymond awesome stuff. And they got an outlier night from Pods. But that would have been enough if Steph wasn't Steph. And it would be foolish to put a ceiling on a team that has one of the 10 or 12 greatest players ever if he can tap into close to his peak, which he is been tapping into since they got Jimmy Butler. Yep. And so I think that, not having Gary Payton II is a big loss. They have, oddly, for a team that is with Steph and Draymond and Jimmy, they have no one else with any real playoff experience. Like,
Looney.
Looney, correct, but Looney doesn't play much.
Right.
Kuminga and Moody barely played at all during the playoff runs with the team, and then everyone else you saw last night. Pod's never been in the playoffs. Post never been in the playoffs. Santos never been in the playoffs. Buddy Hield briefly in garbage time for the Sixers last year, but Steph is so great, and Draymond is really just doing all of his peak Draymond defensive stuff, and Jimmy's the X factor.
And he's actually hitting threes for him. Last night he shot the three pretty
2 for 4, shot the 3 great. And so it's a massive ask for 37-year-old Steph Curry, but if he can play at this level, they can win the title.
Okay. I find this take so infuriating for so many different ways. I feel like I'm about to Okay. First off, it goes without saying, obviously, Steph Curry is king for the Warriors, right? Yes, in order for them to win, they need these nights where he's putting up 35, 40 points, whatever it may be, hitting key threes in key moments, these insanely difficult threes where it feels like you're literally playing NBA jams and you're just like hitting, X or A or whatever, and like that's all you got to do and it just goes in. But that is who Steph Curry is. Like it's not unique anymore. Like that is who Steph Curry is. Those games are not outliers for him. That's just Steph Curry. But it's just so insane. There's 2 things that are so insane that are driving me nuts. You watch that game, and yes, your takeaway is that Steph is spectacular because he's inevitable. Like, of course, the way he makes his shots and the way how then when he decides to drive to the basket are so. If you ever want to know why other games are boring, is because it doesn't look like Steph, right? Like, it's just, even if other players can shoot threes and drive to the basket, there's just a smoothness and an energy that just erupts off the screen that you're just like, that is the definition of entertainment in such key moments as well. But that's not the takeaway because that's already like embedded into the Warriors. That's embedded into the Warriors. We know that. So if we wanted to talk about the Warriors as a whole in terms of like what we're looking at, sure. But like, what did this win tell you about Golden State? That all those other players that Nick is like, they don't have playoff experience. They're all ready for the moment. This was a huge moment on the road. They really wanted to win this game. This was playoff basketball, playoff atmosphere. I talked about this before this game even started. Like, that's what this is. And everybody did their job. Everybody rose to the occasion. Everybody was calm, collected. Compare that to the Lakers. This is actually a perfect game to watch 2 teams side by side. One team was not ready for the moment. The other team was. One team had one of their stars crying to the refs. Surprise, surprise, Lucas crying to the refs as the Golden State Warriors are running down the court, having one of those frustration fouls like a clown that he is. It's just like, bro, you've been in the league for years. All right, frustration fouls end by the time you hit high school, okay? Because you're going to have a coach that's going to bench you, ream you out, and be like, what are you doing? So having frustration fouls at this point in your career is just absurd. It is. It's clown behavior. I'm just going to say it out loud. Like, it is. It's clown behavior. It's not competitiveness or this. It's clown behavior. All right? Basketball, the margins are too small in the NBA oftentimes. So any type of extra foul hurts you, especially when you're a bad defender like Luka is. So it's just like, you don't see any of that. And that's not what makes Luka special. Draymond does some of that type of stuff because that's what makes Draymond special. He's the bully. He's the energizer. So it's different. That's not Luka's role. So it's just bad basketball. There's no other way to look at it. It's just bad basketball. And when you look at the other players for the Lakers, you can see the raciness. You can see things are so sped up and going fast. For the Warriors, everything felt like they were just going in slow motion in a positive way. It was just so smooth and fluid. Kuminga at times feels like he does a little too much. Like there's times when like maybe he has the ball underneath the basket and it's like, all right, I know you want to shoot, but you can't. You're kind of trapped. Just try to, pass the ball. Try to get the ball out. And he'll try to sometimes like force a shot, and you're just like, dude, like you're first off, that's not your role for this team, and second off, you're just not that good yet. Maybe you never will, but like just get the ball back out. Just get the ball back out, reset, take a breather. He still kind of has a little bit of that moment at times, but Kevon Looney coming off the bench. I mean, obviously Pod's balling. And what I loved about this game was that, and this is why it's so nonsense to say this is all about Steph Curry, because Steph Curry was obviously, a massive, reason why they won that game. Like, it's impossible for him not to be. It's Steph Curry. But there was no rush or forcing the ball to Steph, especially in the beginning of the game, and Jimmy Butler. And I completely disagree with what Reggie Miller had to say during this game, where he's like, they got to get Steph involved and got to get Jimmy Butler involved. No, because they were winning, or it was like right within range. And it was like the other guys, the other playmakers on this team that also are crucially important, that they will need to play well in the playoffs, they're playing great. And the game is coming to them. And Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, like, these are seasoned, bona fide, endless veterans. They don't need to force the game to them. They can allow it to come to them. If they were down by 10 points, 12 points, and you're going into the third quarter or something, fourth quarter, whatever it may be, then yeah, and they're still not shooting and getting the ball, then yes, you got to get them going. But that's not the way how this game was unfolding. The rhythm and the flow of it all was like, no, this is fine. And the sheer fact that the other players on the team were taking their shots, driving to the basket, doing what they needed to do in a way that was not unforced. It wasn't like kind of like, hey, I'm just trying to get involved and I got to get involved. Like, nothing was ever forced involvement. It was just the fluidity of the game. And to me, that's just like the most obvious. It was just the fluidity of the game. My biggest concern about the Warriors is their rebounding, because that came out to light against the Lakers. There was definitely some key moments when you're just like, oh man, like they're struggling to get some rebounds. As well as the Lakers felt like they had way more open shots compared to the Warriors. Like, this is definitely very much like the Warriors are going to be like rather shooting the lights out of the ball or not, right? Which is very textbook Warriors, quite frankly. Which is why for the Lakers, I said in a single game elimination, if it just all comes down to one, the Lakers are going to be in a little bit more of a position to kind of play a little bit of a bully ball and not rely so heavily on shooting. And so if you're talking about one single game, it's like all bets are off. Who knows, right? Again, Steph is either going to be making those cartoon threes, or they're going to be rimming out. Pods is either going to be making like three after three, or he's going to rim out. Like it just is what it is. It's why single basketball games are always just absolutely impossible to predict. It's really the foundation of why 7-game series make the most amount of sense for basketball. But this game showed me how complete the Golden State Warriors are. Of course, they're relying on Steph Curry. Like, every team is relying on their superstar, right? And like of course, and this kind of like, Steph has another great run in him. Who showed you that he doesn't have a great run in him? Like, why do we automatically say, oh, LeBron, he can do this and that and this and that, and yet like with Steph, we're like, nah, we'll see. Like, I find that nonsense so infuriating. Steph Curry's special has shown to still be there consistently. LeBron's special is not. You see how much he favors just these jump shots. You see it. He became a freight train like maybe twice that game. And like that was it. And like he needs to be able to be that freight train. Like that, I argue that that's actually LeBron's like ultimate superpower. He's always been like a Swiss Army knife of being able to do everything. But like at the end of the day, It's like you can give LeBron the ball and he can just power his way to the bat. You know, it's very like Shaquille O'Neal-esque in that regard. And that's what he kind of relied on a little bit in the Olympics. But you could see it's just like, oh man, he's hanging on by a thread here. And that's why he just starts shooting three. And he's been doing this now for years. This isn't necessarily new. But like Steph's special is still absolutely through the roof. In those gotta have it moments, Steph can still shoot. In the gotta have it moments where LeBron needs to be a freight train, you're just not so sure. You're just not. It's different, especially in a 7-game series, especially if you're going to 5, 6, 7, and now you're multiple playoff, rounds deep. You're just like, I don't know. I don't know. Again, whether Steph's going to be able to hit all those shots or not, it always comes down to the basketball gods, man. I say that all the time. I don't hide behind that at all. Like it is the reality. It just when you're a shooting team like Steph, it's just like basketball gods, man. Are you making them or you're not? They just, like Steph Curry rims out a free throw. It's like, why? Why did he miss a free throw in that moment? It's basketball gods. It's not like, his mechanics were off ever so. It's like his legs are a little tired. Nope, he just missed it. I have no idea why, and he doesn't even know why. Nobody knows why. It just is what it is. It can't be 100%. The most frustrating aspect of basketball that makes the feeling of just kind of like law of averages. Are you going to be a hot jump shooter? Or are you going to be cold? Are you going to be hot but everyone else is cold? Like it's the most reliable question mark and variable in basketball, which is just again I know that's like unsexy commentary, but it's the cold reality. It's the cold reality, which is why, again, someone like a LeBron James, someone who can play closer to the rim, it does give you a sense of not necessarily sustainability, but reliability. But that's what LeBron loses little by little by little. And so when you see him relying on shots, and he's obviously, a significantly better shooter than he once was, but like if you're relying on LeBron James hitting threes to win you games, you're in a bad situation. And he'll be able to hit them, but not reliably, and especially when his legs are going under from him. Yeah, he will be coming up short. He will be hitting the front of the rim. So it's just kind of different levels to me. Yeah, Jimmy Butler, I don't know. I think again, it's great to see Jimmy Butler not force himself in these moments. That's what comes with such the experience of these guys. There was never a moment when Steph was like, all right, I got to get going. Give me the ball. And same thing with Jimmy. Jimmy's not like, I'm supposed to be number 2. Not Pods, let me go. Like none of that ever happened. It's the experience. And seeing Moody be empowered, Pods being empowered, even Kevon Looney when he's coming off the bench being empowered, Kuminga being empowered. Although, again, Kuminga is still he's the one that still gives me a little bit kind of like, you still got to really understand deeply what it's like to be like playing team winning basketball. Like you still gotta, like he's still the one that I'm kind of like, but yeah, man, that was an amazing game for the Golden State Warriors. There's no way to slice it. And not takeaway was not just Steph Curry. This team was playing they were playing basketball. Compare that to the Lakers. They were just playing ball. Seriously, they were just playing ball. They were just kind of like, let's do a little bit of this, let's do a little bit of that. Same old nonsense with Luka. Austin Reeves hitting some shots too, because like, are you expecting him to be that hot too? I mean, like he shot like 23. I mean, he shot a lot of threes. I don't know what the exact final number was, but he shot a ton of threes. There was at one point when everybody was just going back and forth with threes, and it really was kind of like, again, like who's gonna miss, who's gonna rim it out, et cetera, et cetera. But you see the fatigue happen so much more with the Lakers, with LeBron. We've already seen that I think it was against the Chicago Bulls. But you see the fatigue catch up. They start to make kind of bad passes. There's just a little bit lack of energy when LeBron James kind of hits the deck. He hits the deck and he's just like, it's a little bit harder for him to kind of like bounce back up. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was an awesome game, honestly. And again, you can't overreact to a single game, but like, this is why I called nonsense when Nick was like, the Golden State Warriors need to have an A+ game to be able to beat the Lakers. You're acting like the Lakers are this like undefeated Kansas City Chiefs in their prime. Like that's not the case at all. The Lakers need to have their A+ game. And they didn't. Luka was not A+. And honestly, like, that game was definitely more of like a 10-point game than anything. A bigger gap than that, quite frankly. Obviously started to get a little weird near the end of the game because, you know, that's just basketball. And like I said, everyone at one point was just making 3 after 3 after 3. So it kind of got a little wild. But when things kind of started to get a little sped up, you saw the uncomfortableness of the Lakers. You saw the smoothness of the Golden State Warriors. That's not only experience, but that's also more of a deeper trust in Steph, in Draymond, in Steve Kerr, that all the other players who maybe don't have that same level of big moment experience, they're all part of this Golden State Warriors bubble. And Steve Kerr and the franchise as a whole has done an amazing job of bringing these players up. And there really is a warrior way. Whereas some of these other teams that have inexperienced players, you can see that inexperience. Like, I'm not 100% seeing the development of team ball with the Lakers, whether it be Reeves, Rui. Like, I'm seeing those guys improve and get better than when they were in years past. But I'm not really seeing, like I said, that's why I said they're playing ball and the Warriors are playing basketball. And, you know, there's just a difference. There really is. One's freestyling, one's poetry in motion. Just is what it is. That's the benefit that you have of true continuity, a true nucleus, and a long-term head coach in Steve Kerr compared to what the Lakers have gone on. We're going to bring in Luka, Rui, Austin Reeves. We're going to get rid of D'Lo. We're going to bring in, get rid of Anthony Davis, new head coach, new assistant. Like, that's what you get. You get things that are kind of all scattered and disconnected. The Warriors have an insane amount of continuity, second to no one in the NBA right now. Second to no one. No other team has the level of continuity that the Golden State Warriors have. So yeah, bringing in these younger players, slowly developing them, and even if you do need to kind of hit the ground running with them to a degree, they can do it. They can do it. The foundation is set for them. And Steph Curry and Draymond, whether you want to admit it or not, are awesome leaders. And everybody understands what you can accomplish, what you can win. You go to the Lakers franchise, it's not very clear. You know the history of the Lakers. You know LeBron can win and he can be great, but like, it's not very clear. When you step on board with the Golden State Warriors, I feel like it's just very much like New England Patriots dynasty, where it's like, guys, like this is special. You walk into the building and you feel it. You're like, champions have been made here over the last like decade. Like, this is real. This is real. And again, you have the continuity. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Golden State Warriors? What did this win tell you about them? Do you think it was all about Steph? Do you think that they really are true championship contenders, title contenders? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.